Hello, my name is Diana Whitney, and I am one of the founders of the Taos Institute and president of Corporation for Positive Change. I am so excited to be able to talk to you today about the work of the Taos Institute, how it began and where it's going and where I hope it might go. The Taos Institute was founded about 20 years ago by a group of colleagues from very diverse fields: family therapy, organizational development, education, who were all interested in an area called social constructionism. And we came together to explore what we could offer each other and what we could offer the world. And in the past 20 years, the work that was just beginning at that time was supported through dialogue, through many conferences, and has grown broadly into the world. My work is called Appreciative Inquiry. I work in large organizational settings, helping leaders and their teams to bring about change. And what I have found very meaningful in relation to the Taos Institute is that there's a community, a global community of scholars and practitioners who are boldly experimenting with ideas related to collaboration, related to positive change, and related to co-creating a better world. And because we come together in dialogue, we're learning, we're growing, and we're innovating together. So I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the world of organizations. When I came to the field of organization development, I came to it through the lens of communication. For me, organizations, communities are communication phenomena. We are groups of people in dialogue who are in essence telling stories. And the stories that we tell give meaning to our life and then influence and inform who we are and who we can become into the future. So I'm very excited about all that has happened in the field of organization development to expand from a problem-solving, deficit-oriented approach to what we call an appreciative orientation. Because when we take an appreciative orientation and we use appreciative inquiry, a number of amazing things happen. First, we create a kind of attraction that people want to be part of. When we do inquiry and dialogue around how organizations are at their best, about the kinds of things that give life and help them create a better world, we're creating a bit of an energy that attracts people. They want to be part of that. They want to be in the dialogue. And so the appreciative approaches engage people in ways that have them feel welcome to the dialogue and as if they have something to contribute, because they do have something to contribute. The other thing that it does is it creates a sort of resourcefulness. When we ask people to share their best practices, their stories of success, and to engage in dialogue with others who are different than they are, we build the capacities, the broad relational capacities, the collective capacities, and the collective wisdom. And so an appreciative social constructionist approach creates resourcefulness. It builds potential. And finally, it's transformative. It is the way that we create and we change, by telling stories, by changing our stories. And so again, when we bring people together in large group settings, and I'm talking about 200, 300, 500, or engaging thousands of people throughout a community or an organization around the world, when we bring them together and let them share and learn with one another, surprising innovations occur. And people change, groups change, and the whole organization transforms in the direction of the conversations. And so as I think about what is it that the Taos Institute, social constructionism, can offer us into the future, For me, I go bigger and bigger. And I wonder what it is that we have to offer, not only for organizations and communities, but for the whole of the world and for our relationships beyond just humanity, our relationships with spirit, with the divine. So I'm very curious about how it is that we engage in co-creative processes in relation to the sources and forces and energies that we hold most sacred. So the question of spirituality and social constructionism are right on the edge of my curiosity these days. And I think that social constructionism has a lot to offer us because it teaches us and encourages us to honor the other. And in doing that, in many ways, we're saying, Namaste. I honor the divine in you. I honor you as different from me. And that ability to be with one another, recognizing our differences and honoring each other is at the core of all spiritual traditions and at the core of social constructionism. So I've just recently finished leading a retreat called Appreciative Alchemy. And it was an opportunity for those who joined me to explore the interfaces of social constructionism, appreciative inquiry, and our spiritual practices. We were able to bring in ritual and ceremony as another form, in essence, of dialogue. I mean, one could see it as a kind of dialogue with nature, a dialogue with spirit, a dialogue with the divine. And in looking at the overlaps of social construction, appreciative inquiry, and spiritual practices, I've started to play with this notion of appreciative alchemy. And I would welcome any of you to join me in that conversation. I've also written about spiritual resonance in the workplace. And I think that that's another area that we have a long way to go in terms of exploring the way our conversations and the language that we use and the questions we ask, all of those which are in essence the raw materials of social constructionism, how do they foster a work environment, a community environment, an educational environment in which people feel heard and whole? The notion of wholeness is another one of my curiosities. In some ways, wholeness is just another story, but in another way, there's a place for all of us, a space in which we feel okay, in which we feel as if we're accepted and we're acknowledged. And again, our foundations in social constructionism are giving us ways of approaching one another that honor that wholeness and help us reclaim it. The notion of to remember, in many ways, what we need to do is remember stories, not the stories of ain't it awful and how someone did something to me, but the stories of what it means to be in relation to nature, what it means to delight in learning, what it means to be creative. I mean, we all need our own creation story, our own story of our own creativity and how we make meaning of all of the life around us and in relation to what it is that we call the divine. So I welcome you. Join us at the conference in April, coming up soon. Join me. Feel free to come to any of the workshops, the programs I'm offering, but also send emails. Let's talk more about this play between social construction and spirituality, what we might even call a spiritual constructionist, because we're living in a wonderful, alive, vibrant, co-creative universe. And I think the more we step fully into it, the more we can make a world that works for all of us. Thank you.